Although one of the best quarterback prospects in the draft, not many know about how Sam Howell got to this point. So let's talk about my man.
On his Tar Heels. He's watching Howell go deep to the goal line, and it's a touchdown!
Out of the small town of Waynesville, North Carolina, Sam grew up on football from the time he was young, and that passion for the game translated into his high school play. At Sun Valley High, Sam just went off with over 1,345 touchdowns through the air and over 3,560 touchdowns on the ground. Even though he wasn't in one of the top media markets, he was nonetheless the second biggest recruit in the state, and upon that the third rated dual threat quarterback in his class. So as you could probably guess, schools like Florida State, Bama, and North Carolina were all after him, and so it made the decision that much more difficult. Even though he initially committed to Florida State, Sam decided to flip his recruitment to North Carolina in order to stay right at home. Going into his freshman year as a Tar Heel, Sam had to compete with some other redshirt freshman talent, but ended up winning in training camp, and so going into the first game, he was a starter. Crazy enough, Sam was the first true freshman in Tar Heel history to start the season opener, and so as you could probably guess, there was a decent bit of pressure on him. His nearly 250 yards and 2 touchdowns helped the team start off the year right, and in turn proved that his dominance in high school was no joke. That same idea carried over throughout the rest of his freshman season, as he was able to pass for over 3,600 yards and a freshman record 38 touchdowns. Not a North Carolina record, but an FBS freshman record if you could believe it. As you could probably guess, following such a stellar first year, Sam was in line for a decent bit of accolades. And not only was he just third team All-ACC or the ACC Rookie of the Year, but a USA Today freshman All-American, and so it seemed like the sky was the limit for his potential sophomore production. Going into his second year, Sam was named to the Maxwell, Manning, and Davey O'Brien Award watch list going into the season. And so as you could guess, just like his freshman season, there was a ton of pressure on him to perform. Although he started off a bit slow against Syracuse and Boston College, he got his footing back rather quickly as he was able to pass for nearly 3,600 yards and 30 touchdowns on nearly 80 less passes, and in turn proved that he could consistently play at a high level. Following his solid sophomore season, Sam may not have gotten a whole bunch of awards and accolades like he did after his first year, but his second team All-ACC nod was still enough to prove that he was one of the best in the conference yet again. Not just that, but his combined 68 passing touchdowns tied the school's record in only his second year, and upon that his over 7,200 passing yards was already top 5. With that in mind, going into what was certainly Sam's last season with the team, once again there was quite a bit of hype surrounding him, with my man being on numerous award watch lists yet again. Although his over 3,000 yards and 24 touchdowns were a bit of a drop-off from his sophomore campaign, he was able to make up for it in the rushing game with over 800 yards and 11 touchdowns on the ground. Even though he had his worst statistical passing season, Sam was still able to break numerous career, school, and conference records, and so as you could guess, he decided to forego his eligibility for the NFL draft as one of the top quarterback prospects in a bit of an underwhelming draft class. Sam left Chapel Hill as he said goodbye to the quote-unquote best 3 years of his life, and hello to the NFL. Although the start of a completely new chapter, Sam Howell brings a lot to the table, and as an ESPN draft analyst would say, his deep ball and accuracy are clearly his best attributes, and those both are pretty dang important in the modern NFL. His ability to toss the rock downfield and make plays with his feet make him a commodity in a limited quarterback class. Keep in mind that although he is coming off of his worst statistical year in the passing game, a lack of weapons and protections forced him to make plays with his feet, and a lot of times more so than he should have. His former OC in Phil Longo flat out said that Sam has no intention of being an 800-yard rusher in the NFL, but is willing to do whatever it takes in order to win football games. It's something that every great player should strive to do, but in Sam's case, he's proven it time and time again, and it makes him that much more appealing even with his downfalls. One of those very quote-unquote downfalls is his size at only just over 6 foot, which is a few inches shorter than some of his future colleagues. But as Longo would say, from a skill set standpoint, he's Drew Brees. Everybody compares him to Baker, but I don't think he's the same type of player as Baker. And if that comparison tells you anything, then he can make plays no matter his size. Anyways, I could see where the Baker comparisons come in terms of play style, but it seems like that type of play came from necessity rather than desirability. If you fast forward back to 2020 and the years before, when he had weapons to work with, he was much more calm and collected in the pocket like Brees. And as you could guess, the lack of help forced him to play a different kind of football. With that in mind, if Sam was put in anything except a tough spot to succeed, then I'm sure he'll be fine. As Longo would say, he has everything you look for in a prospect. And since he's the same guy every week, he's able to provide a consistency that quite a few NFL teams could use. Not only does he just bring a consistent level of play to these teams, but a team-first, selfless attitude that has him taking the blame for what was a pretty rough situation last season. Saying that he wouldn't have traded the guys he played with for the world, and how his team has really good players after what was his worst statistical season through the air, I would say is enough to prove that he's built to lead an NFL team. His on-the-field talent may not exactly be there yet, but dang well he has the right mindset. His ability in the run game is what could get him to that place sooner than later, and his statement, "I think I can do it all on the field," is about as good a testament as you could have to his desire to go off on the next level. He may not go first or even second round, but no matter where he ends up going, he sure as heck will make an impact.
Howell across the 5, and he is into the end zone for a touchdown.
Thanks for watching the video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment down below stuff you want next. But anyway, see you all soon, and peace out.